Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Homewrecker Podcast. I am the Golden Greek Alex Arion, joined as always by my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, amazing wife, the lovely Monique.
Hi.
How are you, Monique?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic as always. And this week, we're not going to do this super long intro and talk about whatever. Maybe we'll do that another time. This week, we're going to jump right into it because we have two very special guests.
Yay, we do. I want to introduce to our show Iris Moon and RJ Sun. They are the co-hosts of the Embodied Mystics Podcast. Iris and RJ, thank you so much for being on our show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having us.
We're doing great.
Awesome.
We are doing great.
I'm super, you can tell how excited I get by how squinty my eyes get. It looks like my eyes are closed.
But it was the light shining on us.
No,
it's really
my excitement.
blinding me.
So I just want to give a quick little introduction about how I had met Iris. Our friend Adriana Devine, she actually referred me to Iris for a group meditation, and it was so wonderful. And from that, I've been on her email list. And recently I had reached out to her and we started talking, and I absolutely love her. Iris, I adore you. You are a wonderful person and I appreciate you. And I just want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. And RJ, if you can tell us about yourself and how you guys started a podcast together and started working together. Tell us your story.
Oh my God.
It's a loaded question.
I know.
Jeez. Wow.
Just go.
I appreciate you so much. That that brings my heart up into my high heart. So thank you. I also really appreciate you and everything you've done for me thus far. So should I start with our story or
yeah.
what I
take
do?
it wherever you want to take it.
Yeah. This is your show now, honey.
Okay. I kind of want to start where we met because it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
We met on Twitter. I don't even know what to say about that, because what I want to say is this guy commented on a tweet, or replied to me on a tweet, and I was like, who is this dumb boy?
Wow.
Oh. Isn't that how all great love stories begin, though?
Doesn't mince words.
Maybe. That was kind of the truth, though. When he first responded, I was like, oh, who is this boy? But we actually had a fairly magical meeting, even though it was on Twitter. The first time I was like, oh, boy. But I think you should take over the story now.
Yeah, well, it was kind of some synchronistic events that happened that led me to comment on one of her tweets, if you will. And so it broke the ice, and we really connected on a mystical level, as well as two healers. And I was in California, and she was on the East Coast at the time. So, it was, kind of crazy. So fast forward, she decides she's going to go to Arizona to be with family for a while. And I was like, well, that's a lot closer than the East Coast, maybe we can meet up. So around her birthday time, I drove up to Flagstaff and
Northern Arizona.
Yep.
For those who don't know.
Flagstaff,
how far a
Arizona.
drive was that for you, RJ?
About 10 hours.
Wow.
But it was pretty cool. I went down, camped out in some areas like Joshua Tree, and it was pretty cool journey. So I didn't like, I'm not stopping the whole way. I was just like, I'm gonna
right.
have a little. And so we met in a national forest outside of Flagstaff, Arizona, and we
on my
out.
birthday.
Yeah, on the birthday.
On my birthday.
So
nice.
The rest is pretty much history.
Yeah, we took the donut, camped there for a little while.
We actually had a really magical first meeting, if you will. So of course I drove from Gloucester, Massachusetts to Flagstaff. over the course of 3 weeks. And he met me in Flagstaff. And like he said, we went to Sedona, and I took him to the Buddhist Zen garden in Sedona, which is my absolute favorite place in Arizona, because it has this giant Buddha, and there's this whole peace park built around it, with lots of bodhisattvas and medicine wheels. Oh, there's a stupa there. It's just wonderful. So I actually took RJ there for our first date, and it was kind of just like love at first sight, if you will, or definitely not love at first tweet, but
Yeah, we met this amazing traveling yogi couple.
yeah, I saw them.
Yeah, good.
I was so funny to say that, because I was just thinking that too. I was thinking so much about her.
Yeah.
So when RJ came, he brought one of his dogs. His name is Crusher. And so we were riding around in the truck with Crusher. We get to the Buddhist garden, and there is this woman that has did she have her travel trailer with her at that time?
No, they just had their truck with their
Sticker.
their traveling yogi sticker on it, their Instagram tag, the number and all that.
And so I'm thinking, like, just looking at this sign on this back of this truck, I'm like, I wonder if these are our people. And they get out, and I swear to God, it's an older version of us. They're like in their 50s. I'm like, they get out, they have a dog that looks like Crusher, and I'm like, that's it. This is our future.
On the first day.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
It
awesome.
sounds kind of crazy, but so we ended up having a really magical day, and just having a really magical time in northern Arizona. And RJ decided to hang out in Arizona for a while. He lived in Monterey at the time, which I'll get there. But when we were in Phoenix, I just basically looked at RJ and was like, dude, you got to go back home. Because I think at this point you'd been there for 10 days or so, maybe.
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
So he didn't want to go home, and I asked him, how could we make this work? And he invited me out.
So you should just come to California. It's pretty awesome, right by the ocean. It's like a 10-minute walk where I lived at the time to Lovers Point and Pacific Grove and Sillamar Beach. So,
Wow.
I mean, pretty sweet deal.
Can I just
So we got
interject?
to
I want to stop you for 1 second.
Yes.
Because, like, for our hearers, you can't see this, but if you're watching this, the way you both look at each other, my heart, oh my goodness, like, it's just so sweet and beautiful. The way you both look at each other, and I love it. It just fills my heart with joy. So sorry, I just had to point that out, because I keep getting giddy, like, watching you look at each other and smile.
Thank you. I also don't want to dominate the conversation, because I can. So I want to make sure, telepathically, that he gets enough floor space as I do.
Yeah, we do all right. We do all right. So actually, in Pacific Grove was where we, as a couple, had the idea of starting a podcast for healers, spiritualists, all that good stuff. And it was actually, personally, myself, I've had that dream for probably about, I don't know, 5+ years, to do all that. And I kept going with the goals, and the divine creates connections and synchronistic events, and brings the soul tribe together, if you will, to make all this happen.
My story, my personal journey, is also really entwined with us meeting, because at the time I was really blossoming in my soul gifts, and so I was starting to offer sessions, Reiki sessions and astrology sessions specifically. So I kind of fell into a whole dream, if you will, when I moved in with RJ, because I committed myself full time to magic, if you will. And RJ was probably the first real magician that I had met that was actually doing astrological magic and divinatory magic. And so us coming together, it felt just like the universe was calling for, this radical trust in the magical path, if you will. So, like RJ said, we did have this idea to, start this podcast, but I feel like it really came from our work in Gnosticism because we started, studying, how do you say, like, I want to say like divinatory. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Not entirely, but I'm on track.
We started studying with Bobby.
Oh, right.
I'm trying to think of how we would describe that, how that would be categorized.
Well, it was like a Gnostic amalgamation of all spiritual traditions. So it was kind of all over the place, but it was interesting. But that's what kind of triggered many other events that opened the mind.
We started speaking to our friend and mentor at the time, and we would record our Zoom calls, and just the conversations that we had with this mentor who had decades of years of experience as a bishop, like the depth that we got to in these conversations and these musings of the divine really sparked us to have these conversations and record them for a podcast. So we refined in a way.
Yeah.
RJ and I feel like we really, in that moment, chose the paths that we were willing to walk and embark on.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
All right, I got to know about this
Explain what
tweet.
you do?
Yeah, what can you tell us what the tweet is?
Yeah, let's hear about this tweet.
His comment?
It was the rabbit. So I don't entirely remember her tweet.
I remember.
Well, indulge.
Okay, so it was spring, and I literally tweeted, "Rabbit, rabbit, happy spring."
Oh yeah. Okay, so this adds into the synchronicity as well because I was with my dad at the time at his friend's house in Gilbert, Arizona, which is right by Phoenix. And Alexis, being from there, she was actually supposed to be there at the same time that I came across her tweet. It was through an astrologer. Yes, go ahead.
Alexis is my birth name. Iris is my Reiki name, which I'll get into. Go on.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, you're fine.
It's something that I don't really use. So.
It's interesting because I feel like I've been merging back with my name. Like Iris and Alexis have been merging, but go on. We'll digress on that another moment.
So anyways, I'm out in the backyard at my dad's friend's house, and they have a nice yard, and then I see this rabbit statue right there. So I take a picture of it, and it's like there's a rabbit staring me right in the eyes right now. So
you can't deny that. I can't deny synchronicities. Okay. My foundational blueprint for my spirituality is The Alchemist. And The Alchemist basically tells you, like, it's a book, if you don't know, hopefully you do, by Paulo Coelho. I don't know if I say his name right, but
I've heard of it. I've never read it.
My foundation is that book, and that book, oh, it's amazing. You have to read it. Okay. I would really highly suggest you read it or listen to it on audiobook.
Okay.
The Alchemist basically.
Oh,
Did we just
lost him?
Did we just lose everybody? Uh-oh.
We just lost them. We'll get them back. Here we go.
Oh, we see you again.
Yep. We lost you for a second.
That was weird.
Was that us or?
That was probably us.
Yeah, we're out in the Tahoe National Forest, basically. So we got the satellite internet here.
Don't
okay.
worry.
Okay.
If you need to shut the video off to keep a better connection, then feel free. Whatever you guys got to do.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
I
We're
appreciate
turning the
you.
heater on now. So the alchemist basically lays out that, synchronicities are a sign from God to follow. And by following the synchronicities, you'll never go wrong. You'll always end up in the right place. So I read that book when I was 18, and it absolutely became the core foundation of what I believed in. And I've read it multiple times over, and it just keeps unraveling. But I couldn't deny the synchronicity in his response. So I was like, okay, I'll give this guy a time of day.
Yeah. I'll pick his brain. See, he's worthy.
Exactly that. So thank you for asking, because that's such a great question.
Well, you said I met on you guys met on Twitter, and I mean, I'm like, I gotta know, like, what was the tweet? Like, what was
The
this
rabbit
about?
hole.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was just about rabbits. So it's really funny because now, like, rabbits are a very important sign in our relationship. And I find that, when rabbits are around, they're really guiding us, like, back into a deepening with each other. So it's really beautiful you asked, because it's actually like a big magical component in our relationship.
Yeah, for sure. And the symbolism,
Mm-hmm.
they're very agile, quick-witted, also the fertility to, having children. That's important.
Yeah.
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
I could really dive into that even deeper by, explaining that I still wasn't sold with RJ right away. So I did a medicine journey. And I asked Spirit, why RJ and I were connecting. I was in a deep spiritual celibacy because I had, committed myself to my path. So when I did this journey, Spirit showed me our son, and continued to drop different dreams into my consciousness of our son's emergence in our life. So without actually that symbol of fertility, I feel like, it was all just one giant spiral for me.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you about the vision of the baby? Or did I keep that to myself when I had it?
Sedona? Eventually you told me about it.
Oh, yes. Because I had a dream about the burning bush in Sedona.
Yeah. We were camping out in Sedona, and she had this magical dream. She's definitely like a prophetic visionary dreamer, and we've tested it out with my mom. It's long story, but it's like, whoa,
That is so good.
I want to hear the
It's like,
story, if you don't mind.
Well,
Do you mention?
If you don't mind sharing.
So my mom bought this bed and set it up in the guest room, and we started visiting there a little more frequently, and we'd sleep in this bed.
I loved this bed.
It was a pretty comfy bed.
Let me tell you, that's an important part of this piece. I was like in love with this bed.
So, and plus we did meditation, prayer, and all that in the room.
Can I say we did magical sex?
We had magical sex as well, and
Okay, I have to ask,
not much sleeping going on.
Did it feel weird having sex in a room with your mom in the other room close by?
Oh yeah, sometimes for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was like, I can only imagine.
Get in the ninja mode,
Maybe not so much for him, but as a woman, you're like, can anyone hear anything? Oh my god, we have to be quiet. But
it's like the slightest little squeak, and you're like, shh.
Yeah. So back to the story. Yes. So we had found a farm set up in outside of Nevada City in North San Juan. So we had moved up there, and so my mom would start in the middle of the night, like every once in a while, like maybe
sleeping in that bed
once or twice a month, maybe 3 times. She would go and sleep in that bed, and then Alexis would dream about my mom. Like she would have it every time. Like, so we started catching on to the pattern because we talked to my mom about, you know, the dreams and stuff like
I
that.
would have like really intense dreams about his mom. Like I would be, I remember very vividly the first real dream I had where I was like, oh my God, your mom sleeping in that bed. Because I had this dream I was in school and she was berating me that I like wasn't doing enough studying or like I wasn't like learning enough. And I could just feel her like inner tension, if you will. So I remember like asking RJ, like, can you ask your mom if she's been sleeping in that bed and if she's okay? Because like she's yelling at me in my dreams and I need her to stop.
Like, why are you yelling at me? You hating on me today or what? So that's what was like, yeah, it's for sure, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What did your mom
don't
think
think-
about that, RJ?
She was open to it, but she was a little, I don't know, she laughed like more than anything. You know, the little guy just woke up,
Okay.
so she's going to get him right now.
Do you want to
But
tell
yeah,
us?
she was open to it.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
going to say, do you want to tell us about your background?
Sure. My background, I've been immersed and studying health and wellness for the past 10 years. I'm a Institute of Integrative Nutrition health coach. I do a QRA, which is a quantum reflex analysis healing modality, which is based in kinesiology. It uses a muscle testing technique to determine what organs are weak or what emotions or thought patterns are that need work on, and stuff like that. I also work on people's land and homes. Specifically, lately it's been helping people design and build their homesteads and upgrade farms. But I also do the spiritual component behind that as well as healing the land as well, working if there's disturbed spirits or balancing the energy through different techniques. So that's what I've been really immersed in, and I'm actually a few years into Taoist alchemy. So working as a spiritual healer through that, as well as martial arts component. So that's
awesome.
pretty awesome life to live, and I'm grateful to do what I do.
Don't
That's
let
awesome.
him breeze over the Taoist alchemy.
Yeah, that's really like totally upgraded and changed my life beyond anything. It's caused me to face fears. Um, I would say the most important thing is for us as humans to find out our weakness and really dive into that. If we want to make it, if we want to move the needle in the right direction, you know, we might not be able to make the perfect world in our lifetime, but we can for sure move the needle in the right direction for our lineage, for our children.
I love that
Yeah.
you said that
Yeah.
because you know, I'm a hypnotherapist, and one of the biggest issues is like people are afraid to do that work because it's hard work. And it's
Mhm.
tough to face those things about yourself that you don't want to look at. And so I think when other people hear like that's the stuff that you need to do and they get it and they're told in an encouraging way, a positive way,
Mhm.
like yes, it's hard work, but this is how we heal. This is how we help our future and our children and ourselves and our ancestors. I personally, I take it that's that's the positive encouragement that hopefully will help people do that as time goes on, because I know the hard work that it is. And I think anyone doing any kind of shadow work who's in it, it's so ugly. And then it's like, yes, I've done it. And then it's like, okay, now I'm at a new level. Oh, great. Now there's more work to do. So it never quite seems to like go away. There's always something. It's just at different levels. So I
Right. And
love,
I think that's the beautiful part of it
yeah,
is because if it was like, oh, I've done everything there is to do to heal and upgrade and you know and level up to different dimensions, if you will, of existence, uh life would just be like there would be an end, a point, which is not how creation, the universe works. It's a cyclical thing.
Right.
yes,
Yep.
It's not linear. It's not a linear start and end, you know.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
and
I
I
think,
wanted to check.
oh, go
Oh,
on.
go ahead.
No, I was
No, go
just going
ahead.
to say it's not linear. And I think that's the problem with the, like Iris and I, together have talked about the programming that we receive, as children. And we, everything's linear, and that's not the case. And I think it's just the way that a lot of children are brought up and raised and educated, where they get that concept in their mind. And that's why it's that much more difficult to kind of deprogram and realize that, oh, wait, it's not this way, it's this way.
uh,
Sorry, go on, Iris.
I was just gonna say that I feel like, you do your shadow work best in relation to each other. So, RJ and I coming together really was a catalyst for a lot of, traumas or conflicts or dramas within our lives to be revealed. And, especially with uh, alchemy and um, reverence and divine devotion, if you will. Like, you really have to peel back those layers of self to be a good, I don't even want to use the word good, but to be a clear channel for people to rely on you in that work.
Yeah.
So um you know RJ and I coming together really showed so much of the fallacies or the illusions that we believed in, and were trained and programmed by, which is so funny because you asked about, RJ's mom, how she handled the dreams. And I think that my relationship to RJ was actually really triggering in the beginning because
yeah.
I have been an oracle priestess for since I can remember. Um, Monique, I don't read cards. I don't feel like in the same way you do. I've typically used cards, but I have this very like psychic channel that's active and constantly channeling through me. And so um when we first got together, his mom thought I was a witch.
Yeah, totally.
Um and
Like
I
some dark sorceress,
It's like that old school mentality.
Right. And so, the first night or the first time I spent the night at her house, I actually did a morning spread. Like, what's my message for the day? And his mom was like,
Yeah.
devil work.
Well, she was raised, like in the South. She was born in Freeport, Texas, so the Southern Baptist, pretty dominant down in that area in Church of Christ. So she was brought up very structured in that regard. Um, so, fast forward to this instant, she was like holding her tongue, because my best friend was there at the time, and uh, Iris was outside and we were inside, and my mom was like, should I say anything to her? Yeah, it's, and my buddy Salo kind of calmed her down. It's like, all right, it's not, anything bad. And then she opened up to it, and like, I don't know, it was probably like a month and a half or so ago, she went to get these facials, right? And the lady there, she uses sound bowls and all that, and then at the end she offers to do a card spread for her clients. And And my mom was talking about it before. She's like, I don't think I'm going to do it. I don't. And then after, and we talked to her after, and she ended up doing it, and she's like, wow, it's actually pretty interesting, but I don't know about it. It's still kind of digesting it, but it
But
was
at
pretty
least she's
funny.
open, and that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the dreams were not the craziest part, because I think they actually helped her, access this truth that psychicism or divinatory arts aren't necessarily evil. Because I'd always have messages for her when I, dreamt of her, and she received them. She never, I wouldn't say it was like a thank you, but she would be like, oh, okay. And I think she actually took the time to process. So I don't know how that ended up being with the Taoist mysticism. Oh, I wanted to touch on just the programming of, like, coming out as a Taoist mystic, or even doing this work, because I feel like, I don't know, sometimes the magical arts bump up against the cultural beliefs out there.
Right. Like you have to be this certain ethnicity to practice a certain tradition or be a part of a lineage. And like, I think that's uh, there's a big shift and integration going right now as a human species to see the whole picture. Like I like to use the metaphor like a mountain, and at the peak of the mountain is the divine, the source of all, and the different traditions are just different trails up the mountain to connect to the source.
Yeah.
So people are discovering just like what flavor they like,
Yeah.
and works for them, and whether it's old Nordic tradition or even the Christian mysticism goes way back and is far from what we know as Christianity today. It's all just good stuff,
Yeah. I think part of that
It's
is,
like it's the people.
yeah. And it's the calling that you get. Like, what are you called to? And not being afraid to follow that, and not worrying about what other people think or following that. Because, I've told Iris before, Alex knows, but when I started reading tarot, just reading tarot, and now I think most people are like, what's the big deal? But you go back 20 years and reading tarot, and that's only 20 years ago. But the reactions of just like, I was called to these cards, and then I get this reaction of people getting freaked out and weirded out and treating me weird because I read cards that were very accurate, and they were, how did you know that kind of attitude? And then it's like, oh no, I'm something's wrong with me. And all I did was go to what I was called to. And it takes a lot of work to get to the point where either you're naturally like, I don't care, and you do your thing, or you've been nurtured where people encourage you to do that, or you're in a position where you have to fight through that and work on that. So you can say, like, no, I'm called to this, and this is what I'm going to do, and I don't care what other people think. So, especially with everything that you both do, I feel like you're breaking these barriers. And by talking about it and letting people know, like, hey, by the way, there's all this stuff out here, and there's nothing wrong with it. And, it's like we can all do this, and that's okay. So I love that, because, again, growing up with that programming, and then we talk all the time about the way we're programmed and the way we're lied to and the way we're taught to not do the things that we're called to do. And so it's like, I'm all like, yeah, like, tell us more,
Yeah.
push that
Yeah,
boundary.
it was definitely challenging for me as well, stepping into, my higher calling and my work that I love. Because at first, a lot of my family and and close friends like looked at me like I was on the dark side, if you will, and it hurt because, I really, love them all and value them. But after time went by, I did it discreetly. I didn't want to be like that out in your face and just shocking everybody. And go ahead. What do you have to say?
I just want to say I feel like, RJ's skills have been really in the background, and not in a bad way. Like, he does so much magic behind the scenes. I feel like that almost you honed those skills really well, despite like that pushback from your family.
Yeah, because the work really doesn't really need recognition, or I could do the same work and not be so obnoxious about it, if you will.
Yeah.
I could do it for time and space and still get it done and not have to do all these things on the physical realm.
And I want to just like offer the story of the garden as a really good example. And that, of course, touches on Orgonite. So RJ makes really fabulous Orgonite. I'm more of like the visual one, and he's the mad scientist. But RJ has made Orgonite, I think, specifically for like land harmonization. And so he did a project where he built out a food forest and placed Orgonite in the ground.
We redid the whole plumbing and ran a bunch of water lines out. So I was on the excavator. I did all the trench work, and I was like, this is such a great opportunity to place some, powerful earth harmonizers, like 2 feet in the earth. Like, yes, those are gonna be there for probably who knows how long. So I laid out a whole grid there underneath, and then backfilled it and then carried on. But it turned out to be such an amazing garden.
I bet.
And the first time I walked through it, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No. I'm saying, I'm like, fuck yeah. Sorry.
There's a child present.
The first time I walked through it, so we used to live on a community property, and we rotated chicken duty and stuff like that. And so I did about 16-month celibacy of cannabis. And this was like the first time I ate an edible after having our son. I think he was like 6 months old or something. I waited so long. But I ate an edible, and I went down to close the chickens, and you had to walk through the garden in order to close the chickens. And I remember walking through that garden and just feeling like this immense flood of light in that space. I just felt so spacious, and I was like, am I just stoned?
Yeah.
Right.
Or do I really feel this? But really, cannabis helps me tap into those energies. So I went home to RJ, and I was like, wow, that garden feels so good. And that's when he informed me that he did the grid.
I never told anyone about it,
Oh, wow.
up until she said that. Because I was like, I don't need to brag about it.
Right.
No,
but at this moment now, it comes out, and it's like a glorious moment. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
that's awesome.
I love that.
Well, I mean,
That is awesome.
I feel like sometimes we forget how valuable we are unless someone kind of points it out and says like, oh, that was, wonderful. Thank you for that. I think recognition of one's skills is just as important as like delivering it in a way.
Yeah.
for sure.
So I had to just bring that up because, one, Orgonite is such a, powerful tool for land harmonization. And also two, like, I have seen such magic in the background through just like holding the energetic container in the background.
Yeah. One of the things I try to boast about Orgonite that I use as an example, because a lot of people think it's just hooey. And, and I'm like, no, like crystals are not metaphysical. It is physical. Like crystals are piezoelectric. It creates energy. They used it for sonar. They use it in watches. Like it is not just some.
We wouldn't be on this Zoom call without it.
Yes.
Without crystals.
Exactly.
And so, I got some plants some years ago and I put my Orgonite that I made. I just got it from the nursery and I put my Orgonite just next to them. And I took a picture when I got it. And then within less than 24 hours, my plants were just like, whoosh, like the energy, like they were alive. And I took pictures and I wanted to show that before and after so people could see, like, no, this like life reacts, energy reacts to this. And it's important. And it's not just like for me, it's not just, to help with like EMF or anything like that, but it's about the energy from it and how we use it. And just like, I mean, I've told Iris, like, I just started making so much of it just because I love it that it was like, oh, I guess I should probably sell some. Do you sell your Orgonite? Do you make it available for people?
I do.
So you're going to have to give us that information so people can find it from you and buy it.
For sure. And I do custom like requests as well, or like say if someone has a special crystal, gemstone, or mineral or whatever that they want, or pretty much almost any object you can place it in there. And we go a step further. We actually open a sacred space and we give offerings to the divine, and we pray and chant as we create these basically alchemical stones, if you will.
I love that because I like when I do it. And where we used to live, I kind of had my practice. So I would just sit with my trees and, talk to my trees, and I give my gratitude, and I have like this little ceremony that I do. And then I get into a meditative state. And sometimes I don't even know what I'm making. It's just whatever comes. And I was telling Iris the other day how it's like, I'm just in such this deep state. And the next thing I know, there's like animals coming to me and like birds and like all these creatures like around me. And it's like, I'm like, oh, whoa, what? Like, wait a minute. And they're like, oh, hey. But it's just it for anyone listening, I just want people to realize how powerful energy can be. And the energy, not just from the person creating it, but from the pieces, the crystals, or the whatever you're using itself, like that carries energy and then it comes together. So again, like if anyone is interested in Orgonite, like please, RJ, like give, like after the show, we'll give all the information, like go check out his work because I can just feel that energy and I know it's amazing.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's awesome.
We have some like powerful Reiki ones too. I have a lightning bolt Orgonite piece that I like cannot part with.
Yeah. So we've been playing with using different power symbols or talismans or runes. It just all depends on what people want. Like throw the requests. I love like good ideas, but that's where we're at.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I love it because Alex was the one who actually introduced me to Orgonite. And Alex, like, I got to give props to Alex because he's the one who allowed me to become who I am, like to let that out and show.
I gave you permission.
No, you just.
What do you mean I allowed you?
You gave me a safe place to be myself.
Yeah.
Like you let me be me and you love me for me. And I know that sounds like so basic, but not everyone has that. And he was the one who introduced me to Orgonite. And it was, again, that connection. And again, things happen for a reason. So like all these different things and the synchronicities that occur. And then I think about like how we met and our conversations, and then, oh my gosh, you make Orgonite, and just the way everything goes about. Like, I get so psyched inside because it might seem like a little thing, but to me, these are so huge because it's about connection. And I just want people to find their tribe, find their connections, and not to be afraid to like reach out and talk. Like, if you didn't comment on her tweet, like what would have happened? And it's like, especially now, it's like, this is the time to reach out to each other and learn from each other and work with each other.
Yeah, it creates those subtle energetic changes that are easy to overlook, like, because these just ourselves as well, but Orgonite, it's basically like a receiver transmitter of energy. And if you think about that, we can program crystals with memory. That's how we use hard drives. So our goals and our higher aspirations connect with these pieces, and it sends that out into the quantum field and ripples out, and then different instances pop up, or scenarios or situations where like we met on whatever, or through the quantum crystal matrix. So it's easy to overlook the significance and the impact that our spirit, the Shen, our mind, works with the infinite space of how everything is connected to bring it all together, like an orchestra, if you will. It's like a beautiful masterpiece.
It is. And when you were talking about everything being connected, I just want to share, I can't remember if I've talked about it on the show. I was when I was learning to be a hypnotherapist, you get hypnotized a lot because you learn by doing. And so I was hypnotized, and I got to talk to my soul, and my soul showed me just the way. It was weird. It was almost like a spider web, but it's hard to explain. It wasn't a spider web, but it was like all these connections to everything, and not just people, but everything. Yeah. And
almost like a neural network, all the
yeah,
synapses just like are firing, and everything is like that on like a cosmic mind, if you
yes,
will.
it was
Right.
so powerful. And that's where it really hit me, the true deep connection of everyone and everything. And it really helped me, especially like, I'm a pretty like patient person. I always try to think about other people, where they're coming from, being in their shoes. But it helped me like love more, because it was like, we're all connected. So this person who is just being horrible right now, I still love them because we're connected. We're all part of each other with everyone and everything. And that's kind of my nice little reminder. It's like, wait, we're all connected. And it's so crazy and insane, but beautiful and awesome. And, it gets a little overwhelming to try to talk about it, because it's like the feeling you get, like being in it, like for me during that hypnosis. But yeah, it's just, we are all connected with everyone and everything. And so again, I just get really psyched talking to other people who know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that's really important what you said about, someone could be really, really rude or mean mean to you, and coming from a place of love and compassion. Because even when we're working on something outside and it's not going right and getting all upset, when we get upset and anger and all that, it contributes it to the quantum field of everything, and increases that resonant vibration, which can create a snowball effect in other people around us, and ultimately globally. So it's definitely a challenge and a practice, but the ability to bounce back from like, okay, frustration's normal, it's human, you know, anger, all that, grief or sorrow or worry, but the ability to bounce back into being centered really takes the responsibility of creating a better field to live in, just for all humans, really.
Yeah, and it's not easy.
Yeah, that's definitely not easy to do
No.
either. Like that takes practice, lots of practice.
Yep.
And yeah, but
and
you're
like what
right.
you were
I mean,
speaking on earlier is how you, Alex, created a safe space, non-judgmental. That's like the foundation of what a relationship should be started and based off, for any successful relationship, not just between intimate partners, between friends, between colleagues, professionally, you name it, you know. That's just that's the way.
Our thing is that in
Right.
honesty.
Absolutely.
I just want to interject too and say, you know, like RJ created a safe space for me to believe. And you know, I feel like he's believed in me before I've believed in myself.
Yeah.
Even in giving birth to our son. For those, you know, who don't know, we had what is considered a free birth. So RJ was my only birth attendant, as guided by a and yes, we're talking about you, bud. That he was so like in sync with my body, you know, just really designated this magical component because it was so crazy. Like right before I would go into a or a surge, if you will, RJ would hold me in a space where it was like he knew it was coming. And
most of the time I would just lay hands, you know, over her or on her and just support her energy and pull down divine energy through me into her to support the whole process and not like be freaking out. And like I just like the main thing is just calm, cool, collected, centered, and just ready to support and just holding down the fort, if you will.
And that's important.
Yeah.
Because talking about the quantum field, if I'm nervous and like, oh, I don't know, we might, then that's gonna change the whole environment, and it could throw the whole situation off, you know, where it could be a traumatic event.
Absolutely, because one of the things, so I used to work in veterinary medicine and then I worked at an OBGYN, and it was like animals, babies, people, they all pick up on your energy and they just don't necessarily realize that's what it is. So when you're freaked out and you have a child or an animal, they pick up on that energy and they freak out. So, I mean, just on that basic level, it's like, yeah, when you remain calm and you're being there and you're supportive and you're listening and you're just kind of going with the flow and just being there and being supportive, that is huge, especially, you know, for a mom in labor because of, you know, especially a first time mom in labor, because there's so much going on with your body and then your mind, and that support is so important. So I just love that you guys had that free birth and you were there and just in tune with her and helping her and guiding her. That's so incredible. Like that's where I'd like to see like society go.
yeah,
You know, it's
we're
like
gonna get back to that. That's awesome though. Congrats to you. I mean, that's just wow. That's awesome.
Thank you. I think it is, and I think that, you know, the women who are choosing to have a free birth or are choosing to have an autonomous birth with a birth witness or, you know, birth support are recreating the reality that we're living in, and also, you know, are really paving the way for other women to feel confident in their ability. He's got a lot to say about it too.
Yeah.
you talk all you need to, buddy.
He's so grateful that
that's awesome.
He's so grateful that we listened to his wishes, you know.
Yeah.
And that we were strong enough to do that, you know, not just physically, but, you know, mentally, because there was definitely a lot of people in our life that were like freaked out. And it could have been so easy to just take on their fear.
I had a lot of those thoughts, but as I stated before, you know, in this journey, so when RJ and I met and I did my medicine journey, they showed me his face. And then like 3 weeks later, I received a dream of our birth, which was a free birth. And so I just let that fucking dream guide me.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
Yeah.
my dreams have always been accurate. My dreams have always been you know, psychic in nature, and I'm a community dreamer, so I dream of other people too. I dream of messages for them and insights and inspirations, but they've never been wrong. So I knew with my heart, in my deepest cell of my body, that I was meant to give birth this way. And it's really hard to explain that to, you know, the people that are in this physical reality, that I'm being guided by a dream.
Yeah.
So I let that dream just really guide me, and we took some really radical steps along the way to really just be in it. But I feel like, you know, this is where at least I'm going in my work. My work is going to be really about helping women reclaim, you know, their initiations, if you will. And birth is like the biggest initiation that we can have.
Yeah.
And as RJ, you know, said that he was a health coach, and he was my, he was like my doctor, if you will. You know, he would muscle test me if I needed certain supplements. He
We
would
did emotional work on beliefs and fears and all that, because that can turn things wonky if you don't even believe in yourself.
Right.
That's it. You got to work on that quick. You know?
And he made sure that I was nutritionally taken care of. And so I feel like I received kind of this like blueprint that was available to, you know, us before we were kind of modernized by allopathy, if you will, where like, you know, someone helped support our body, our mind, our spirit during pregnancy. So then birth was just like, I don't want to say effortless in the sense of like, you know, downplaying the whirlwind that is contractions and that is surges and that is pain. I had back labor for over 23 hours. So I knew pain. But I feel like the preparation and the connection to my body just taught me that I could handle all of that, and there was no need to fear. So the point of all this is that I'm really moving into, you know, supporting this work, and I feel that, you know, it's part of RJ's gifts to do this as well. Fertility work in both men and women, and you have to just
you guys are like, I know the little ones right there, but you guys are badasses. I mean, really, because I could just imagine the type of stuff you were hearing from people that were maybe trying to talk you out of it or telling you why you shouldn't. And just the fact that you both were, you know, you supported each other and you stayed strong and firm and held in your beliefs. And obviously you were right. Everybody else, you know, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And I try to tell that, like, to our children, for example, like, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. As long as you believe in yourself and you feel in your heart that you're right, you are, you know? And so again, just kudos to you guys.
Like, we knew we were supported by the divine. Like, no questions about it. You know, we knew that we were supported by higher forces.
And I kind of lied to people also. I will say that honestly. I did tell people that I had help, that I had it covered. I didn't necessarily say I have a midwife, but I said I have it covered, which in a way is kind of a lie, kind of the truth.
You know, sometimes you have to do that to get people off your back.
Yeah, literally what I was going to say.
It was like, defense of, you know, kind of neutralizing that situation.
Right.
Because you guys have to protect yourselves too from that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's even like, I did kind of lie to my dad and tell him I had help and it was going to be okay. And then when we had him, we called him and he heard the whole story and he was like, "Holy shit!" He was like, "Kudos to you guys."
There you go.
I thought you would maybe die. Like, Dad,
Have a little faith.
people. One thing is that people do not die that often as we think about it in birth. It is a natural part of it, sure, but I don't think that people are dying as often as we seem to think that they're dying.
Yeah, the perception.
So one is that, and two, I also made peace with either giving birth to a stillborn or to even losing my own life, which sounds really crazy to say out loud when I tell people that, but it's true. You cannot go into this with a fear or an attachment. Yes,
physical body.
Yeah, and maybe that sounds crazy to say, but we have to make peace with the fact that death is a part of birth, even if it's not a physical death.
Yeah.
So I made peace with all of this before we went into birth. And, through birth, I was like, this shit is wild. I think I might die. It'd be really nice if someone could stab me at this point. I remember telling
I want to do this.
Yeah, I don't want to do this. And then, of course, the baby comes like 30 minutes later. Transition, right? So through that, I just had an even deeper connection to RJ and his work and wanting to work together with him because I really saw the magic and synergy, that we could create.
Yeah.
So again, the whole point of all this is that if it's any consolation, I plan on moving the needle towards, home birth and supporting women in feeling, healthy in their bodies, healthy in their minds, and healthy in their spirits to give birth on their own terms, whether that be free birth or with a, authentic birth keeper. And RJ is a major part of that. I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
He has so much wisdom, both for the men, because, the father is so important to the whole, birth environment and also pregnancy, that he could really, hold men in this space of dude, this is kind of what you're looking at here. And this is how we get through it. This is how we face our shit through it, if you will.
I mean, when you think about how taboo it kind of is with men and being with the birth of their child back in the 50s, it's men weren't even allowed in the hospital. And go on.
No, I was just going to say, my dad told RJ I could never see my woman like that.
Wow.
What? You wouldn't want to see that, I kind of said it jokingly. He's a funny guy. Love the guy,
My dad is really heart-centered, but even that, he was like,
oh man, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
But it's so when I had our boys, it was he was there with me and he was my support. And there were times where it was it's I'd get in a position and try to move a certain way to get, and I'm okay, no, this isn't working. I do it for 3 seconds. Okay, I go try something else. Okay, this isn't working. But he was okay, whatever you need. Even though after a few moments, I was no, okay, not working. And just trying to find some kind of comfort. Him being there helped comfort me. And, him being able to watch the birth of our children, there's always, again, the programming, the worrying, is he going to think different of me? Is he going to see everything down there and be repulsed? And then to see, him crying.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I'm never ashamed to admit that I cried. It was awesome. It was just such an overcome with emotion, It's the when they say the miracle of life. Well, yeah, because that's what it is. It's
I mean, in the presence of that, there's this amazing being, literally straight from the divine, that it should move you in a miraculous way. And he came out flying, and it's a boy, and I just break out in tears and just start, just letting it that soul coming out, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll never forget like when, he was crowning and I reached my hand down and placed my hand on the head and I looked at RJ and my eyes were really big and I was like, his head. I can feel his head. And I'll never forget RJ just staring back at me like his whole life had made sense. Like everything had all been figured out in that moment. And he shared that like bliss with me,
It's like, oh, we're right there. You're doing so great. All right. Take a second, breathe, get some nice oxygen into your system. And then, and then a couple moments went by and I moved around to the back to catch him. And I actually set up a whole setup on our bed with like layers of towels and whatnot.
A blanket for me for warmth.
Yeah. So then he came out like,
a rocket ship.
Yeah, it was like a rocket ship. Once his head passed, it was just like,
Yeah,
yeah, I was like, oh my gosh. I was trying to catch him. He just plopped out right on the bed, just all cozy. And
they're slippery too when they come out.
Oh yeah. I really feel like birth brings couples closer together when the father is a part of the birth. Like that's when you really get to see like why the masculine and feminine dance the way they do, because like dads really hold this rock star container for moms to just spiral out in during birth,
to get in that trance-like state,
Yeah,
you have to feel safe in order to get that trance-like state that allows the process to happen.
Yeah.
So I feel like dads are such an integral part of the birth dance. And if they're there and in reverence of the, open yoni, the open womb, it like creates an even deeper relationship for each other because like, seeing all that stuff happen reminds you just how fucking miraculous your woman is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's impressive.
Oh, it sure is. Oh yeah. Yeah. Cause I mean, like she did the you didn't have
Natural
any
birth,
totally natural birth and everything. And I was just like, wow. It was, yeah. I mean, just the, obviously we hear the stories. Any woman that's given birth, we heard from our parents, you hear how long they were in labor for, how painful it is. You always hear this stuff. But then when you're like up close with it, you witness it, you're just like, wow, you're right. I mean, I definitely gained a new respect for my wife more than I already had, which I didn't think was possible. But then just witnessing it, and then not once, but 2 times, we have 2 children together, and it's just like the fact that she did that. It's like, of course, I'm going to be right there supporting her. Like I find it amazing that there's actually people out there that don't do that. To me, I don't get that. That doesn't make sense to me.
I look at it like a child is brought by the 2 coming together.
Yeah.
It goes in, it's created by the 2 coming together. No pun intended. But
coming together as one.
Yeah, but it's like when the child's ready to come, it's like be all together. It's that family unit you're creating and receiving, and you're being together. So I think it's really important. But I think, having gone from a previous relationship and a previous marriage and having a birth in such a chaotic way and not having the support, that's really hard. And to then, find your person and the person that allows you to be who you are and allows you to feel free and comfortable, and then to have a child and just feel so like, even though you're in pain, but to feel that support and that comfort is like, that's what it's about. And it's like, that's what we as people and couples and partners should be experiencing together, but it gets kind of overlooked by a lot of other things.
Right. RJ was married before me and, experienced that, like, what it is to be out of alignment and to not be able to, have the magic. And so I feel like, I don't know where I was going with that, but I think that, being able to come together and just do like this magical work together is really a high honor for both of us. And it's like, I feel like at least for me, even though I'm a bit of a runner, Archie will tell you I'm a bit of a runner. I have a tendency to run when I'm feeling extremely, overwhelmed. But I keep coming back to this like sense of integrity, in terms of just the magic that can really happen between two people when they are really in love with each other and really like working towards their best selves together.
Yeah. He
Which
he
includes
pushes
podcast.
me. Yeah, he inspires me. And it's little stupid stuff like being outside and shoveling. And it's like, I want to give up because it's like, I'm almost there. I'm almost done. And I'm so tired. And my body just wants to give out because I've been working so hard. And then I just think, like, but I've come this far because I think about Alex and the way he inspires me and the way he pushes himself. And it's like, yeah, it's like this great inspiration. It's like, and he doesn't even realize it, you know? But it again,
Yeah.
it's just those things that we pick up without noticing. Like you were saying, the work that RJ's done in the background, and it does receive recognition, and that's important to point that stuff out.
Especially
Yeah,
for
I
men.
think I think the
I really
thing
feel
that
that.
like when we're talking about recognition and stuff like that, like me for example, I don't do things because I want the recognition, but it does feel nice when you get it. It's definitely
For sure.
appreciated, and it almost kind of I guess using the cup analogy, like you're taking out of your cup and you're giving to everybody else and you're doing all these things. And then like for me, filling my cup is when you get that recognition. I don't need it necessarily, but man, it feels good to get it. And it just gives you okay. It just
Definite
gives you
morale
more
boost, you know?
fuel, more energy to continue putting out what you're, and doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I've been, I feel like as a consciousness, like I've been really working on just saying all this stuff that I love out loud, because it's so easy for us to, especially with children around, like it's so easy for us to just get into the mundane or the like, oh, the routine,
Like, oh dang, I gotta do this. Oh dang, this happened.
Oh
Oh,
no.
come on, dogs, or whatever.
Yep. Oh yeah.
But I've been really working on reorienting myself to, just like again stating out loud what I'm so grateful for in this relationship and this magic and this partnership, because I really feel like when you're in union with someone else working towards your divine goals, like it's way more than just a romantic relationship. It's like I guess of course it's a life partnership, but it is
Well,
like an
it's
active.
more spiritual. It's more soul contract, if you will,
Mhm.
rather
Yeah.
than just like on the physical,
I am.
plane.
Well, exactly. And so like I question, and you guys might know this, but were you together in past lives? Did you have history in past lives?
So it's so funny. I had a flash that you might ask this a couple days ago, so I've actually been thinking about this. I don't know if RJ has ever connected to them, but from what I gathered in ceremony and in meditation, we have been near each other but not allowed to be in romantic partnership since like the fall of Atlantis.
Wow.
So from what I gathered in my ceremonies, I saw that our last life in like a sexual union, if you will, was in Atlantis. And then ever since then, we've been kind of coming together as brother and sister or family to like learn these lessons. So when I first met him, it felt really wrong to be in a relationship with him, and that's why I did some of that searching and I found that. But I don't know if I've ever told you about that or if we've ever talked about it, because RJ doesn't strike me as the type is very interested in this.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's the first I've heard of that, but yeah, of that the past lives. to me, it's very, I don't know. I don't want to use the word entertaining, but I mean, you could definitely gain wisdom from past life visualizations and memories, but it's just not something I resonate with to search for. And maybe, like, in my soul, in my spirit, I've felt like something has been shrouded or withheld from knowing for a good reason. So I've just respected that, and I'm here, because I could be like a new soul. I've never had any past life before, and I'm straight from the press, if you will.
Yeah.
But which some have told me that I am
I
that.
remember that.
But it didn't resonate with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's something else going on that I'm not ready to know.
And I respect that, because I think that's important. Oh, sorry. I feel like that's important to recognize that it's not coming forward for a reason, and to respect that, because I feel like when you push when it's not time, that's where you can start having issues. And so, like, yeah, you saying that, I respect the hell out of that, because it's hard for some people because their curiosity.
But then we can just it's kind of gets into a realm of like using the analytical mind to make up things, and pick out things that maybe there's parts that are there that may be true, but then that monkey mind, if you will, and start making things up. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I totally
like
read
RJ's
that.
always been very.
I'm sorry. No, and what you're saying, RJ, that's like, it's like for me with the past life stuff, like I've thought about it, but I at the same time, I didn't know if I've had a past life. I've never had like that. Like you always talk about deja vu. I've never had it. I don't know what it feels like. And I don't know if that means I've never had a past life or whatever, but it's just kind of one of those things. Like I have questions, and I've entertained the thought. So when you said it's kind of more entertaining, that made sense, because it's like I've never really pushed for you to do that with me. I've asked you to hypnotize me, and you've done it a couple times and stuff, but I've never really pushed that. And I don't know if it's because I just don't want to know, if I'm not supposed to know, like you said, but it's kind of one of those, like, I'm okay if I did have a past life or lives, and if I don't know about it, I'm okay with it. It's not gonna eat at me or anything.
Yeah, and I've never felt the need to like even ask you, which is it's just funny now that
it's just kind of funny now that we're actually talking about it. Yeah.
Well, the past lives. Oh, I forgot the one as the rock. The spontaneous recollections of our past lives have always been very like, short and brief, which is why when someone told him that he was a new soul, I really had to laugh, because I was like, that's not true. And I hate to say it like that, but I have seen us in very specific points in time. So in these visions that I have received, from spirit, they have shown us like the creation of our soul together. And then they have shown us they showed me the random connections that we had together, which one of them actually included being a cliffside, which sounds really crazy. So of course RJ's might not remember being a freaking cliffside. I saw, the waters hitting against the cliff, and I could feel us in that. It's hard to explain in words, but I was shown like these very, poignant points in time where we were interconnected but not together. And one of them, happened to be extremely random when I was actually driving to Arizona. I was driving through New Mexico and I saw us in the hill, like up in the hill, and we were together, but not romantic. We were brother and sister, and we were basically like hunters.
Okay.
Doing we were like basically scouting for the next space we were going to go into. And that's been it. That have been the only lives that I have seen, which were very ancient feeling, and so we haven't come together in a very long time. And I think that we narrowly missed coming together in this time.
Yeah. I want to ask your thoughts.
So
go on. Oh, no, you can go on.
Go ahead.
No, finish, because I just want to ask your thoughts about dreams.
I just feel like, RJ has been really connected to his ancestry more than anything else, which I really love for him, because I'm this like psychic woo-woo one, and he's the very grounded, like blood lineage, ancestral gifts type of person. So,
which is awesome.
I feel like he really.
Yeah, I was gonna say you complement each other very well.
Complement each other well, yeah. He's so cute.
He's so stinking cute. So one of the things. One of the things, we have a little bit of like a delay, so it's like it sounds like, oh, okay, I can talk, and then it's like, oh no, I can't. So I apologize. One of the things that I started wondering, because I dream, I have very intense dreams. I lucid dream. I have dreams where it happens, and sometimes I'll have a dream where there's somebody, and it's like I feel a very deep connection with them, and it's like, well, it's weird because I don't know this person. But I wonder, did I know them in a past life? And is it a past life memories of people in past lives and experiences coming in dreams in a more modern way? And I just wanted your opinion or your thoughts on that.
I would say definitely. My one question would be, are you in the current body that you're in now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And so when you meet them, you feel like you recognize them.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So my belief is that we're all reincarnated with a soul cluster. Mm-hmm. So we all have people that we're interconnected to on a soul level between all time and space. And this cluster keeps reincarnating over and over. Sense8 does a really good job at showing that. And so does I can't remember that show. It'll come back to me. There's another show that portrays this really well. But I feel like, if you're a very active dreamer, you're connected to these multidimensional parts of your soul that are always trying to reveal itself. And so the interesting thing about dreams is that if you can get past your layer of what I'll call the repressed subconscious, you can actually access all of your psychic gifts in your dreams. But so many people don't slow down enough to listen to their subconscious in order to access their psychic gifts. Mm-hmm. So absolutely, you can, I always encourage you, or anyone that's doing dream work, to trust the first initial feelings that come through in the dream time. And if you're tapped in well enough, you'll know exactly what is going on in there. Sorry, baby in the heater. But yes, I would say yes. And I feel like, people really reach out to you in dreams, not necessarily before, but in order to make contact with you. Mm-hmm. On a soul level. Does that make sense?
No, it does. And I agree, because I also feel like, yes, we have those that we're connected to, like our soul families, and they might not be in this life, but it's still that connection to that being, to that soul. So I do agree with you. And I was curious what you guys thought. And you do a lot of dream work. And can you just tell the hearers and watchers about some of the stuff that you do?
Yes. Oh, where do I even begin with dream work? I, oh, it's such a large scope. I have been a psychic dreamer since I can remember. So I was a little tiny person. And my dreams have eventually just kind of like folded back and showed me more. So, one, I'm a community dreamer, which is really actually spontaneous and not always so useful, if you will, because it happens like randomly. I dream about other people and like things that they need to know in order to like make certain choices in their life, which sounds really crazy. When I think about it, it seems like a lot of responsibility from the universe, but I just let it through. And I can remote view in my dreams, so spirit always shows me um, what needs to be talked about between people. So here's one poignant example. I had a friend who was looking for her dream house, and it was off market. Someone had put a bid on it, and I had a dream that night that she was going to move in. And I knew nothing about this really. I knew that she was looking for houses, but I didn't know that she was looking for this specific house. And so I saw the layout of the house. I could tell you like how you got in the house, what the inside of the house looked like. And I've been a psychic dreamer for her for many moons. So when I called her and I told her, I said, you're going to get this house. Or I had this dream that you got this house. That's what I said. She said, do you think I can get it? And that question really scared me. But I tuned in and I put my hand on my heart and I asked spirit, I said, what I tell her? Because I can't say yes or no from my own consciousness.
Yeah.
But I asked
Right.
spirit, what do you And spirit said, tell her yes. And I was like, oh, fuck, okay. So I told her yes. And a couple weeks later, she actually called me, I think, and she told me the whole story. So the house had gone off market. It had 3 counter bids, following bids. And my friend called her real estate agent and told her that the house was going to fall off market and was going to be hers. And she told me the real estate agent thought she was crazy, and she was like, no, my psychic friend dreamt it. Well, the house ended up falling off the market, and because she had told her real estate agent to put the bid in that was going to get the house, she ended up getting the house.
That's awesome.
So
Wow.
that's one really crazy example to
Yeah.
like give someone psychic dreaming. But my other gift in dreams is Reiki, which sounds really crazy also. I've been thinking about this a lot because I can't necessarily explain it to people like from the outside without being prompted, if you will. So like asking these questions helped me kind of peel these layers back. But when I went to Peru in 2019, I received an activation, and and by activation I mean like a psychic activation from the quantum frequency that exists in Peru. I started doing Reiki in my sleep, and it actually started with an exorcism. So I had a dream of a girl who like had it sounds really crazy, a demon inside of her, and I had to extract it for a bunch of people. Like I was teaching them how to do it. And then from there, I just started dreaming of people and doing Reiki on them. And I would always text them and ask like the next morning, like, hey, what happened in your dreams? And very specifically, I had a dream where I was doing work on this girl, and I was just focusing really heavy on her heart. Like she had grief, there was sadness, there was wounds that were coming forward, and it was just really heart-centered. And so I messaged her the next morning, and she told me like I was having these really heartbreaking dreams, but I kept feeling held in them. So it was just so interesting because I also do sleep Reiki, which does not help my sleep at all.
That's so incredible.
It's a little, like I said before, it almost feels like a big responsibility from the universe, if you will. But I also find it to be a little bit spontaneous. I think if I wanted to, I could navigate it to be a little more like, if I set the intention before bed, it would probably be a little more organized, but I allow it right now just to be spontaneous.
Yeah.
And as I was telling you, Monique, you know, the dreamscape is such a lucid space that RJ could tell you more about the Hun and how it travels in your sleep. This is a Taoist practice as well, but you can access, you know, these multidimensional parts of yourself, and in the dreamscape, you're very open energetically to different things that are going to happen, but are happening to your soul. So that's kind of the work that I do in dreams, but I really I feel deeply inclined with helping people connect to their subconscious, and really using dreams to navigate their soul's innermost desires, because I don't think that everyone is a psychic dreamer in the sense that I am, or a Reiki, you know, dreamer, if you will. But I know without a doubt that everyone has the ability to access their soul's innermost knowing through the dream time. So I feel really deeply inspired to help people peel back those layers that stop them from connecting to their soul's desires, or their soul's like innermost knowings.
And again, it's important work that so many people don't think of, and they think, oh, I just go to sleep and I dream about random stuff, and not realizing how much we can do in our dreams and how much we can learn from our dreams. When I hypnotize people, I'll often tell them, like, pay attention to your dreams. Like, if you normally don't, I remember after hypnotizing you, Alex, you started having things come up in your dreams that we kind of worked out, like, okay, well, what's going on? And just realizing things about the past.
Mm-hmm.
And and
that happened a lot.
And one of the things that we came to realize, was it during one of your dreams, was that during a wrestling match, Alex got knocked unconscious, and he actually wrestled the entire match, but had no recollection until he got to the locker room and kind of came out of it. And I did a hypnotherapy session trying to access that. And we were able to get, like, from what he didn't remember, he didn't even remember like going out to the ring. So we got, like, from him getting to the where the show was, and then like going out, being in the ring, getting hit, and he's like, oh, my jaw. And he's remembering, but then there was like a pause. And then it came through. I think was it later in a dream where he realized that while he was unconscious, it was almost like, because while he was unconscious was actually, he was in the future. And
yeah, it wasn't a dream. That actually
okay.
It happened to me. It's so weird and random. It just came to me in the shower.
That's right.
I was in the shower.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there. I'm just taking a shower. Water's, coming down on my head, and
Because
that's when
it was from stuff from a dream where I was like, go take a shower and cleanse yourself.
Yeah, you'd recommended I do that. I was like, okay, I'll try it. I'm open minded to a lot of this stuff, but I don't really, I don't practice it or anything like that. But I'm open to it all because I've seen for myself, what can happen. And so I did what you said, and I'm in the shower, and then I just realized this is where I was, and I like remembered everything. It was weird, it was bizarre. So I called it like me time traveling, but it was just very, it was just weird because I saw everything that happened. I saw where I was, like I saw myself in my wrestling gear, the way I looked 10 years ago, and it was crazy.
That's right, because I told you take a shower, kind of get into a meditative state, cleanse yourself. And then it was kind of like realizing that he like got knocked out. And then that part we couldn't get during the session was because he was like time traveling somewhere else and he had to be at that point to remember it.
But I mean,
So
like, go ahead.
When instances like that happen, every night when we dream, there's a part of our soul. So there's two parts of our soul. There's what's the ethereal soul, which is in the Taoist tradition known as the Hun, and then there's the corporeal soul, which is known as the Po, which is like the survival side. So the Hun is more the spiritual, the higher self, if you will. So every night when we dream, the Hun leaves the body and it's connected with a cord, and it goes into the spiritual dimension, if you will, to do work or to gain understanding or many reasons.
Would you find that is true even like, being knocked unconscious, like,
So yeah, so when you get knocked unconscious, as I've been knocked unconscious once before, when I was like 13, the spirit or the ethereal soul leaves the body, and the same with a coma is more so, is the spirit leaves the body and it can no longer animate the tissues, but the chi, the energy is still in the body. So that basically just popped that into my head, and I was like, oh, that makes sense, even for a concussion too. The Hun, or the ethereal soul, can leave the body and gain knowledge, or do work.
I mean, that's
the message.
I mean, you said like I came to in the lot. No, I was not in my body, because when I came to after, whatever, 15 minutes or whatever, I'm sitting down. I didn't feel any pain from anything that had happened. I didn't feel like I had wrestled. I didn't remember anything. I'm looking around at everybody like, what are you all looking at? Everybody's sitting around me concerned. And I'm like, what's wrong? Well, oh, am I up?
Right.
Like, I didn't even know that I wrestled. And I got up, and behind me there was a mirror, and I saw my hair was all messed up. My chest was all red. I was sweaty. And I'm like, what's going on? I was gone. I wasn't. And that's what I said even that day. I'm like, I was gone. Like, I wasn't here. I don't know where I was.
And you could tell, like, when he was wrestling,
gone.
It's like,
the body was just like, I was
going through the motions.
But you could somehow tell, my body was doing what it was supposed to do.
Memory. The lights were on, but nobody was home.
I was not there though. I was gone.
That's the Po. That's the part of the
that makes sense.
Survival. So the Po, that part of the soul, is still there to protect the body, to fight off or whatever,
Yeah, Po is like the fight or flight, right?
Right.
And it's like, when you go, say you're in danger and someone's coming after you, and you just turn into a ninja star, that's, the Po, if you will. I don't know why I got so excited.
Yeah, so it's connected. The Po is connected to the lungs, which is why in those situations respiration kicks up to get more oxygen to the extremities, and you get the sensations in your hands and feet that and time slows down, so it's really cool what, even not just humans, but all biology, has such a resilience, in extreme conditions. It's pretty amazing.
And the human consciousness in general is just so incredible what it does. Yeah. Like, even the idea of hypnosis to me is incredibly fascinating, because like the one question I always have is like, especially when you do like a past life regression type of hypnosis, like, how is that past life receiving you? Like, how are you having this conversation with this past life? Because, right, typically in these past life regressions, or at least I've heard, reading books and stuff like that, it seems like people actually take on a different speech. Yes. Or, they can, like you said, you can feel the jaw hurting. You can feel the physical experiences of that. Like, it's just so fascinating to think that we can actually connect to these parts of ourselves that we in a linear time fashion have almost forgotten, or like don't even believe really exist. But then, Alex, you're saying, oh, I felt the jaw, like I
Yeah, that
felt the
was
pain.
it was weird because, like I
And
said,
he
that
was
night,
talking like he got hit.
yeah, like I remember being in hypnosis and the whole experience, and I remember just all of a sudden my jaw hurting, and yeah, I was talking, and I'm sitting there, and I don't know how that works when you're in hypnosis, but I mean, I remembered everything. I still remember the being in hypnosis and everything. It was just very bizarre because that night, like I said, I felt no pain, none. I was knocked out of my body, and then when I came back in, I felt fine. I felt great. Everybody wanted me to go to the hospital, get checked. And I'm like, why? I feel fine. There's nothing wrong with me. I am great. You
You're
guys
like,
are
my
nuts.
consciousness just
I'm
left. It's
fine.
no big deal.
Yeah, right.
I'm
The
literally
hospital
like,
can't
I
do
was,
anything for that.
I'm literally like the one who would always be there, like, okay, I'm gonna take you to the hospital tonight. Like that was kind of like my little like role, or like, okay, let's kind of put some band-aids on you. But I just walk up to him and I'm like, I think you should go to the hospital. I watched your match and something's not right. But he's like, nah, I feel fine. And I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
wow. Because he
So when
seemed
you
like,
process, so when you process trauma, or I should say, when when trauma happens, it gets stored in the tissues. So for something like your injury, it was like super obvious right here that it was stored. That trauma was stored right there. So when traumas that relate to abandonment, rejection, humiliation, etc., when those traumas happen, they get trapped in the organs. So when we go through different different healing of belief systems or traumatic instances, it's important to support the organs alongside doing that, because it all gets, in the Taoist tradition, it goes into what's called the yellow court, and that's like just below. It's like the heart area in the center of the chest, in the sternum, below the sternum, right there, and all the organs are energetically connected to the yellow court, and all unprocessed upset and traumas basically are in the queue there until we're ready to deal with them. And you can use sound, or hypnosis is an amazing technique. Sound vibration to basically shake up the organs and get them in a healthy state, and then start going into deep meditations or hypnosis and pulling those traumas up, because like liver, you got anger, resentment, and all that. The lungs, there's the grief and despair, which is the toxic emotions of the 5 yin organs. The heart is unmet expectations, anxiety. The spleen, worry, obsession. Kidneys is fear, and then fear of loneliness. So when that picture is painted, it paints a whole different perspective on how we experience emotions, and then looking at people in our lives and the emotional state that they're in, you can start to see like, oh wow, their kidneys really need support, or their heart needs to be tended to and loved and supported. And also when we relate to each other, and as partners and whatnot, it really adds a whole new perspective to life, looking at the organs and how they store trauma and the traumas that are associated with each organ. So it's pretty, that your story kind of popped that into my mind on how that works.
And that's incredible that because it makes sense too.
Yeah.
I went to years ago, I saw a psychic Reiki master, and I was the kind of person, like, I take all of my pain and I kind of put it in like my little spot, like everything that hurts me and upsets me. I just take it, I put it down right in my spot right there. And she picked right up on it. She goes, "Oh, it's right here. You got to let that shit go." And I was like,
that's where the liver's at.
yeah, exactly. So you said that. And I'm like, yeah, it was in my liver. But it was like,
Right.
but I'm saving that for a rainy day. That's like if the wrong person messes with me and it's like, it's my life or yours, buddy, I'm unleashing, But yeah.
RJ and I are actually working on we're working on a liver detox protocol. How do I say, like, we're looking into how to like do very specific, like a very specific Reiki offering for the liver. I've been receiving like a lot of messages about, how conscious action is being, thwarted by inner anger and inner resentment. And RJ's a magician with the body, so I've been asking him to prepare, a detox protocol so that we can combine these two. Just because the liver is like, it's so important.
Well, the hun that we were talking about is connected to the liver. That's where the hun is housed, in the liver. So if you about this on a human scale, as far as like leveling up as a species, with all the crazy stuff that's going on and the polarization between, this group of people, that group of people, whatever, it's created that field of frustration and resentment, which therefore doesn't allow us to like surrender to each other and have that joy and compassion, which is the virtue of the liver. Is the virtue of the liver is joy and compassion and love, more than the heart. It's which is interesting.
Yeah.
The heart is like that, the second mind. I believe we have three minds. We have one, it's the lower dantian, below the navel, and then one at the heart, and then the obvious one is the brain mind. So we, like, as a human species, we really have to get over our frustration and resentment with each other, even though like we may not agree on the other person's beliefs or way of living life. It's like our children, our livelihoods, but more importantly, our children's livelihoods are at stake, and we want to leave a world that is conducive with happiness, freedom, prosperity, connection, all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, I was thinking about how a lot of my clients in hypnotherapy, I realized like they were doing the same thing. They're storing that pain, that hurt, that resentment in their liver. So when you and Iris are talking about doing this detoxification for people, I think it's going to be more beneficial than perhaps you even realize, because so many people store it there. And I try to push letting things go. I say, like, I push letting go and forgiveness. And forgiveness doesn't mean you're saying what somebody did to you is okay. It's saying that you're letting it go, because to not forgive is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's like you're holding on to that. And I try to put it in an analogy for people who still have a hard time with forgiveness, to say, if a wolf tries to eat me, I can forgive it because I know it's a wolf and that's what it does.
Right.
But I'm not going to forget, because when I see the wolf again, I'm going to know, hey, it tried to eat me last time. So that's the difference with like forgiveness. It doesn't mean you say, okay, it's all good, and I'm going to open myself up to be hurt by you again. It's saying, like, I'm not going to hold on to that because I don't need to. And a lot of
Right.
people have a hard time, even in hypnosis, just letting go. Like, can you forgive the person? No. Can you at least let it go? And they struggle with that. And you can tell, like, they hold on to it. And it's so difficult for people.
It's almost like it becomes
It
an
becomes part
attachment.
of their
Yeah.
identity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I actually have a free Reiki. I don't know if I would call it a course, but I do have like a free Reiki activation on forgiveness because it was something that came up really heavily a couple months ago that I had to work on. And so since I wanted to work on it, I decided to make a Reiki course, or Reiki activation from it. So it's basically 9 days of forgiveness Reiki, if you will. It's like all guided meditation on going in and forgiving certain aspects. So like, parents or family and policies that you don't agree with, and just like learning how to let go. It kind of covers, how to forgive without being a doormat, because I think that people like assume that forgiveness is, an allowance, and it's not. So I feel like so lit up about forgiveness, because I think that it's like the one major thing that will heal all levels of your soul. Is if you have a willingness to forgive, then you can move through your deepest, darkest, densest stuff. And that's really not easy work. So, it takes a big person, and I think that people should recognize that in themselves. Like, it really takes a big person to do this work and, show people that they can forgive. So
I love that. And
Yeah,
the fact
we
that
got-
you're offering this activation for people, because again, it just, to me, shows how in tune you both are with what's going on with people. And like, we all see things in different ways and we pick up information in different ways, but you are both just like, it's like you're on top of it. And it's like before most people realize, oh, we need to do something about this. So I appreciate that so much. And for like all of our hearers and watchers, can you tell us how we can find you, how we can utilize your services?
Yes. So my website is tworoseshealing.org. And RJ's is elevatedenvironments.com. We now have a wild baby who's running up and down the stairs, so one of us has to support him in that. But RJ is currently on a social media break, so a lot of what is coming through for RJ and I will be found on either my Instagram or my Twitter. I guess you're not taking a Twitter break, but he's taking an Instagram break. So you can find kind of our collaborations moving forward in the future on Two Roses Healing. So I can definitely write that down in the show notes. And would just love to be of service. I think that's really ultimately like our deepest goal, is just to be of service to humanity and to the collective.
Yeah, and help feed. We're feeding each other.
Yeah. And RJ, do you offer online services?
I'm stepping into that. I've traditionally been more in person, but in accordance with the times, I'm being called to the online realm.
So the liver detox program that we are putting together will all be online. And that will definitely include a PDF, like a guided PDF on, the detox protocol. And it's really simple, basic shit, like avoid corn syrup. Okay, it's not that basic, but really that
Sure.
that does there is that in there, right?
Yeah.
But it's, I don't want to, how do I say it the right way?
It's foundational. It's,
yes. Thank you.
Some things
Not
are like
basic.
obvious, but tricky to integrate for whatever reason in someone's life. It's not made to be some secret code that's gonna, you put your hands together in this way and then it's all gonna be like a big boom's gonna go off and your liver's fine.
Right, sure.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, so we're mixing our modalities a little bit. I think he's gonna do qigong, so like there'll be integrative practices for daily navigation, and then once a week we'll meet and we'll basically do Reiki and do like a group ceremony on healing the liver. So that will all be online, and I'm kind of teaching RJ the ways of the online world, though he does really shine in person.
I don't can you guys want to maybe move to New Hampshire perhaps? Because New Hampshire's awesome too.
Come up to the mountains of
Yes,
New
come to
Hampshire.
the mountains of New Hampshire. And we can merge our chickens together.
Yeah, we could definitely visit.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we have plenty of friends in Maine. I lived there for 2 years. So I have lots of friends and close, I call them family, but they're not biologically family, but
they're family.
we have many people there. So we do have to take we have to take ourselves out there.
Yes. Well, you have a place to stay.
Absolutely.
When you come up this way. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Anything else you want to tell our hearers or watchers before we wrap up today? Anything else you want to go out on or mention?
I just want to say thanks for giving us the time and space, and it's been an honor to be here, and I look forward to working with all you amazing people.
And I can't resist the baby kisses.
Who can?
I know, right? I also just want to say thank you for having us. It's so fun to sit and talk to another couple, and
Yes.
it's kind of like an initiation again back into our work. I really took I didn't really take time off, but my life slowed down a lot having our baby. Duh.
Kind of a hiatus more than time off.
Yeah, so we're reorienting ourselves back into a deeper integration of family practices, and I really just look forward to seeing that more in the collective. You two, us two, other two wonderful couples that are doing this work, because I feel like together we're better. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I just want to thank you both so much, because I know having a child, how difficult it can be to make time to do stuff like this and to talk to other people, especially for a podcast. So thank you so much. And thank you, Silas, for joining us and being so awesome and adorable.
Yeah, he was actually really good. He did really well. So
he's so good. Thank you so much.
A Reiki master in his own right. This little guy has been through so much Reiki in the womb and has been through several attunements in the womb. So this guy loves to be a part of it all.
That's awesome.
And you can tell he's just yeah, I'm here, and this is what we do. And it's so beautiful. And again, it's that family connection and that joining together. It's hard to find words. I'm a feeler, so I go off of feeling, so I'm not good with words. But it's hard to sometimes describe the feeling.
Right. I definitely feel like RJ and I, our biggest mission is to, live the mystery school lifestyle, which includes, raising children in the mystery ways. And by mystery, I mean, the great cosmic knowingness, if you will. So we really appreciate you having us all together and playing with how it works, because we were lucky enough to have him nap for most of it, and then Mama's on top of it with food. So entertaining with food. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
No, absolutely.
Thank you guys so much.
You guys.
It was awesome.
It was. And you guys will have to come back on again too.
Yes. definitely.
Yes,
Yeah.
you have to come back on ours as well. And we'll all,
Sure.
Absolutely.
we'll have another couple interviews. So fun.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. And we hope you have a beautiful evening.
Yes. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. All right. That was awesome. That was a lot of fun.
So fun. Thank you so much, Iris, RJ, and Silas. Thank you.
Yeah. Silas, what a cute little
Oh,
guy.
he's so stinking cute.
Wow.
Yeah, they being able, because I've worked with Iris and we've had conversations, and just being able, because I didn't know much about RJ. So just like hearing him and like watching the two of them and hearing the two of them,
Yeah.
I got like so excited, because it's like you can just feel that energy and that love. And I think it's just really cool. And Iris talks about and RJ talk about magic. And one of the things that kept popping up was, do you remember when we first started seeing each other, what you would say about us?
That we got along swimmingly.
No, that
That we were magic.
our love is pure magic.
Our love is pure magic. Yeah.
Yeah. And that just kept popping in my head, because it just makes me think of the synchronicities.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say that, like, watching them, just seeing, I mean, I've never spoken to them before or anything before tonight, and just obviously for people listening, I would say if you go and watch the video, you could see just the way they look at each other. It's awesome, because you could just tell there's so much love there, and there's magic
Yeah.
like that. I mean, that's the
That's
best
what
word
it
for it, I
is,
think.
yeah.
So yeah, that was really what a conversation.
I know.
It was a lot of fun.
I'm just like, these two people are like so freaking cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Much respect, especially
So
like
much.
I said it to them, but I'll say it again. Like, just the going through the birthing process and doing it the way that they did,
Mhm.
and just overcoming the adversity of just what people say, and overcoming any kind of maybe previous programming that they had about it, maybe being something that you can't be done or whatever. And I just, my hat's off to both of them
And
for
the fact,
just being so strong and doing that.
yeah.
And obviously you can see their baby's fine. Their
Yeah.
baby is so happy, it could be done. How were babies born before there were
Oh yeah,
hospitals?
Iris and I
I
had
think
that,
people
like,
forget that.
hundreds of years ago, like mankind survived.
Yeah.
But not just that, but like holding true to what they believe and what they feel. And yes, they have people say what they're going to say, and they give their comments, but still like staying true to their beliefs, and still
Yes.
following the path that they felt called to travel upon.
Yeah.
And because that, I mean, I said it, I was doing tarot and I stopped for a while, just because the way I got treated by some people. And it's not like every single person treated me like that, but just having, some people do that made me retreat. And so to see people who are like, nope, this is what I'm called for, and I'm sticking to it, I get inspired by
I was gonna
that,
say it's
and I
inspiring.
hold so
Yes.
much respect
Yeah.
for that, because it was like, yes, and it's never too late. So if there's something you're called to do, but you just didn't want to deal with the other people and what they say and what they think, get back to it. It's never too late if you feel called to something, and use Iris and RJ as inspiration. And yeah, I mean, they just touched on so many things, and hearing their stories.
Yeah. And just, I mean, the things that RJ was saying too, I believe Daoism, correct?
Yes.
And just the way the different feelings in the body, and attaching to organs and
Yeah.
stuff. That's something that I didn't realize was Daoism. I didn't know, but it's something that I've taken an interest in the last
Yeah.
couple years, at least, just trying to figure out how, because I've always been, most of my life, concerned with muscles, with the physical cosmetic look, I guess, of the body. And it's only recently I had to, get into my 40s before I realized, oh, I probably should worry about what's going on inside too. The stuff you can't see is really important as well, if not more so important than what you're seeing on the outside.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really very interesting to hear that. And it made a lot of sense. And then also touching on, just like how you said, that's where your pain was. That's where you stored all your emotion, all your anger and all that kind of stuff. Just like, wow, it all makes sense. And it's just, I don't know if synchronicity or what, but it's almost, for me, it's like the pieces of the puzzle just keep coming together and discovering more pieces and figuring out where they fit.
It's almost like reconfirming with
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. It's like, because it's like to go down a path because you feel that's what you're called to do and that's what's right. That's one thing. But then when other people like bring up things that like you've been dealing with or working on or feeling a certain way about, and then they start talking about it, again, it's that synchronicity of, okay, yeah, I am on the right path. So yeah, I just think it's awesome. And
We
I-
hope everybody listening got us
I
enjoyed that conversation as
I
much
hope
we
so.
enjoyed having it. It was a lot of fun.
It was. And so much love and gratitude. Thank you so much, Iris, RJ, and Simon.
Absolutely. So anything you want to plug or say before we wrap it up this week?
Yes, I just want to remind people I no longer have Etsy. I'm closing my Etsy shop. It's on vacation mode. So if you want to get any Orgonite through me, go to tarotbymonique.com. I have Orgonite, I have incense, candles, I do tarot and oracle readings. And if you're interested in hypnotherapy, go to innerstandingshypnosis.com to schedule a free 20-minute consult. And even though I plug my Orgonite, please check out RJ's website and check out his Orgonite and what he has to offer as well, because I know I'm going to be going online after and probably buying some stuff.
Yeah, definitely. We'll put all that information in the
Yes.
show notes. So check out the show notes for all that.
Is there anything you want to plug?
No, nothing at all. I just want to plug everybody. Just be nice to each other. Be good to each other. Believe in yourself. Believe in God and Hulkamania. No, I don't have anything I want to plug, but just we'll be back pretty soon, hopefully with another show.
Yeah.
Everything Monique said, check out RJ's site and Iris's website and follow them like on social media. If they're on social media, follow them and see what they're up to, because it sounds like they got some pretty exciting stuff coming down the pike.
And I want to throw out, Iris has an email list that you can subscribe to. And
do you find that like on Twitter, is all that stuff there?
I signed up. I think you can sign up through the link on Twitter. She's tworoseshealing.org. And the emails I get are really inspirational. They're really educational, and there's a lot to offer in the emails that she sends. And she does charge for her services, but then she also does a lot of free work as well throughout the year. So take advantage of that. If money is an issue, that's something I brought up for January. I offered half price hypnotherapy because I know money can be an issue, and I don't want people to not be able to utilize something just because they feel like they can't afford it at this point in time. And I know Iris does a lot of work, and she mentioned the free Reiki attunement that she offers. So please check them both out, see what they have to offer. And yeah.
Awesome. So until next time, I am the Golden Greek, Alex Arion, joined as always by my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, amazing wife, the lovely Monique.
And you've been listening to the Homewrecker Podcast.
We love hearing from and interacting with our hearers and watchers. Feel free to reach out to us on Twitter
at HomewreckerPod.
You can also visit our website,
homewreckerpodcast.com,
where you can check out past episodes and pick up some Homewrecker Podcast gear from our online store.
Also, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you're hearing or watching our show. That way you can be notified whenever a new episode drops. We're on all major podcasting platforms, and you can check out the video versions of our show at YouTube and Brighteon.
You can also find Monique in a few places online as well.
I'm on Twitter @_Monique Giselle_. If you're interested in a tarot reading, Orgonite, incense, candles, and other cool things, you can go to my website, tarotbymonique.com. Or if you're interested in hypnotherapy, you can go to innerstandingshypnosis.com to schedule a free 20-minute consult. And follow me on Twitter at MoniquePCHT. And Alex, how can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at @TheAlexArion, and you can check out my website, alexarionfitness.com.
And if that's too much to remember, we get it. That's why we put it all in our show notes.
Thanks for spending your time with us, and we appreciate all of your support.
We do. Thank you. We love you. Many people are unaware just how much hypnotherapy can help them, or think it's only to help lose weight or quit smoking. But there is so much more hypnotherapy can do. It can help with stress, anxiety, insomnia, phobias, performance enhancement, connecting with your spirit guides and higher self. You can even discover past lives and your life between lives. Heal traumas, break habits, find your deepest truth, or just have fun discovering who you really are, all from the comfort of your home. I'm Monique Pliakis. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, and I want to help you. Schedule a free consult by going to www.innerstandingshypnosis.com. That's INNERSTANDINGSHYPNOSIS.com. Innerstandings Hypnosis. Find your power and ignite your inner light.